into Capernaum, and straightway on the Sabbath day he, Jesus, entered into the synagogue and taught. 22. And they were astonished, the people in the synagogue. They were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority, and not as the scribes. Friends, this is because he did have authority. I want to introduce you at this point to an idea and an understanding of one of the things Jesus did quite often, and it's recorded throughout the New Testament. Jesus would, about half of the time, refer to the Sadducees as the scribes. Some places he'd say the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Other places he would say the Pharisees and the scribes. I believe Jesus did this because he wanted us to know the truth. He didn't want us to miss who these men were. Remember, the Sadducees didn't believe in the law of Moses. They didn't believe in the resurrection of the soul. They didn't even believe in any type of life after death. They thought you die and it's over. Now, these scribes, Sadducees, you can trace them all the way back to the Nethinim, which are spoken of in the time of David and in the time of Solomon. These were foreigners, Nethinim, foreigners, who David, first of all, and then Solomon even expanded the program, if you want to call it a program, but the two of them let these foreigners into the temple to live with the Levi priests. And at that time, the whole idea of this was that these foreigners were kind of going to be the servants for the priests. They would do the dirty work around the temple, and then didn't take them long. The Levi priests turned these foreigners, Nethinim, into scribes to do all of the tedious copying of Scripture, which had to do by hand, you realize. And friends, by the time we get to the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, these foreigners, I say Kenites, had worked their way into the priesthood of Judaism. Now, you couldn't be a priest unless you were of the tribe of Judah, meaning also, of course, you had to be an Israelite to be of the tribe of Levi. But these guys these foreigners, non-Israelites, infiltrated the priesthood way back then. Now, friends, understand this. You could not be a priest in Judaism unless you were of the tribe of Levi. But these guys infiltrated the priesthood. They weren't even Israelites. Not only were they not of the tribe of Levi, they weren't even children of God. They weren't even Israelites. This is all documented in the book of Ezra, chapter 8. You will find that Nehemiah was going back to Jerusalem. He had a whole group of men with him. They were going to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem that had been destroyed. So Nehemiah stops on the way. There are three 3 days into the journey, going back to Jerusalem, he stops and he does an inventory of all the men that he has with him. And he finds that he has a huge number, a large number, over 200, as I remember, priests in this group. None of them were Levites. There were all these Nethinim, fake scribes that just kept working in and becoming more a part of the priesthood. And these men, these foreigners, were the forefathers of the evil ones, Sadducees, that had Jesus crucified. So, know that the reason these scribes did not teach with authority is because they had no authority at all. They were not even of Israel.